Good to know you're still with us on Breakfast Central. We continue with our first conversation this morning. Now, the upturn in the price of the international oil benchmark, Brent crude, has pushed Nigeria's oil revenue above the estimate in the 2021 budget. Brent, against which the country's crude oil is priced, has been trading more than $20 higher than the federal government's benchmark for this year's budget in recent months.
But the 2021 budget was based on an oil price benchmark of $40 per barrel and a production level of 1.86 million barrels per day. Now, according to the budget, 30%, of projected revenues is to come from oil-related sources, while 70% is to be earned from non-oil sources.
A familiar face joins us now. Tunji Andrews is a financial analyst and founder of Awabah. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right, so Brent crude hit $51 per barrel in December, $60 in February, and rose to $70 before closing at $64 per barrel on April 1. What's driving the increase in crude oil?
An opening up economy. More factories are opening up across the world. More economy basically is opening up across the world, and that is of course giving a bit of how would I explain it? Faith towards economic concerns. So people are viewing the economy and believing that we will be able to see more activity, more business activity, and more industrial activity. I don't know why that got stuck in my head. But as we see more of those, we will see more people demand for oil, and that will push up the prices. Of course, we did see a lot of people stockpile crude oil during the lockdowns, but as for now, more people are buying crude oil, so that will continue to push the prices up in the medium term.
Well, Tunji, we know that Nigeria relies heavily on the crude oil for about 50% of the government revenues and over 90% of export earnings. And the rise in oil prices means an increase in revenue. Now, a lot of people will look at these earnings and ask, why does the government want to borrow more funds, borrow more just to fund this budget?
Well, that's a hard question to answer. You do realize that year on year, the government has continued to expand despite reduced earnings in terms of crude oil revenue. But the size of the government itself has continued to expand. The size of expenditure has continued to expand. So I think it's, to be honest with you, it does sound like they're trying to be bullish. That is, putting the best case scenario and saying that we know we will be able to do this despite the fact that we've never done it before. And being bullish is good, but being unrealistic is the extreme of the.
Hello, Tunji. Okay, I think network just yanked him off, but the conversation around the oil price, we still have plenty to ask. Nigeria budgeted a certain amount and then
$40.
Yes, there is an increase now. What are we going to do with the excess? Does it mean, well, I think that was what he was trying to respond to before he went off. What are we going to do with the excess? Are we going to use it to supplement and stop the planned borrowing, or we're going to go ahead with it? It's a bit fuzzy, and we're hoping that Tunji can join us again and shed some more light. We have plenty of questions for him. We'll take a little breather, and when we come back, the conversation continues. Don't go away.